10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
To welcome all of you here to this, that, and the other radio show. For those of you that are tuned in there, and for those of you tuned in here on the Facebook, we're up to almost 300 here. I want to bring in my guest, Kash Lee Kelly. What we're doing, he had agreed after I came across one of his posts to come on our show and get real with us. And I want to talk about the song that was on before he came on, if you guys are tuned in to the radio portion. So for this portion, we're going to be live here. Maybe we'll be here for about an hour or so, and then we'll go back and complete the rest of the hour at dirtyradio.fm at Dirty Radio Classics. Let me bring in my very special guest who is making some waves out there in the world from Hammond, Indiana, where I'm actually born and bred. So we are brothers from other mothers. Let's bring in Kash Lee Kelly. Do I have you there, man?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. You're looking good, sounding good. Hey, you you were listening to the probably the pre-roll music leading up to us going live here, and I just want to let you know that it's Gary Clark Jr., an awesome black blues rock artist.
No, I just looked him up. Yeah, he's dope.
Yeah, man. And so he put that song out last year called "This Land." And it really is, it's kind of about, what we're talking about today. This land is my land. This land's all of our land, And yeah. So for those of you that heard that on the radio and you're thinking, what the heck, what is wrong with this guy? Look up Gary Clark Jr., look up that tune and then read the lyrics and you'll get why we played it. It's really appropriate for better or for worse at this point in time. So, hey, let's start off with you. First of all, thanks for coming on my show. A good friend of mine and a listener week in and week out pointed me to one of your Facebook posts, and man, with all that's going on out there, you are getting a lot of traction with what you have to say. And we wanted yesterday when we talked briefly here, I kind of want to break down the barriers and figure out what you can do to kind of bridge that gap. So give me a little bit of history about yourself. You're from Hammond, where I was born, and then let's ramp up to where we are today.
All right, well, I was born in Indiana, 219, Lake County. I used to be a gangbanger growing up. I was raised by gangbangers, man. I had a different kind of life, so I got a different perspective about things today, how they are. And I wanted better when I had kids. I just set out to try to be better. It didn't happen overnight. I'm still growing, you know what I mean? But I guess the message that I had for my community, it went viral, and now the world is literally watching me, and they're interacting with me, they're messaging me, they're trying to book me to come out to their cities and their states. So yeah, it's just been life-changing, man. It's really exciting, to say the least, man. It's really changed my life. People really helped me out because I was in a struggle literally a week and a half ago. I was in a real bad struggle. And America, the people of America, not politicians, not religion, nothing like that. Just the people of America had a heart, and they pulled me out of my struggle. Literally, they donated and all types of, they changed my life. My whole life is different now, literally in a week.
Right on. So, well, give me a little history. What's changed in a week? What was going on in your life? I mean, obviously, we're all, like myself as a musician, we're all shut down. So and a lot of people have lost their jobs. Did you have that same experience with the pandemic?
Yes, I lost my job. I've been working, man, since I was 18 years old. Here and there, I had layoffs, but nothing like to where I didn't know where my next paycheck was coming from. When you get laid off, you get unemployment. And when I lost my job, unemployment takes at least 21 days to kick in. So I was panicking because I'm backed up on my bills. I'm backed up on rent. And I got all my kids except minus two of my kids. I have all of them with me. And it freaked me out because I don't get help. I don't get government assistance. I don't get anything like that. So I was scared, and all this stuff started happening in the world. And then I just, like you say, we're all locked up because of COVID. So I'm sitting there and watching the news on my Facebook feed of all the things happening in these different cities. And when it came to my city, it upset me to see how it went, even though the police handled it very well. And so did the people. It didn't go bad like how it could have went, but it still was upsetting to see people standing toe to toe with law enforcement officers that I personally know and seeing them getting disrespected. And they had to mace people, and they had to shoot rubber pellet or paintballs, whatever it was. And it just was upsetting to see, man. So I made a video about it, and yeah, the video changed people, and they had a very great response to it. And yeah, it all took off, man. And now I'm not struggling at all. All my bills are paid up literally for months. So I get to focus on giving a message now, because that's what everybody's asking me to do. So I'm just taking that and being responsible with it.
Yeah, no, that's good, because I think right now a lot of people don't really know how to navigate these waters. So for myself, I get the protest. And listen, for those of you that are watching, I'm just kind of a rock dude, and I think I'm pretty aware of what's going on. But obviously, I can't say that I have walked in your shoes, and the opposite for you. We both come from different places. We both come from different backgrounds. But needless to say, this is all affecting us. I don't, like seeing. Where I live, my neighborhood, in fact, we had a Las Vegas cop shot in the back of the head. We don't want that out here. I don't think anybody wants that in their community. We also don't want anybody getting a knee in the neck and not being able to breathe or to die. And so we're not really going to talk about that part so much. We're going to talk about kind of this aftermath that we're in the midst of. We've got protests, we've got riots, we've got people burning their corner stores down, which is what happened in '92 when I was in LA. They burned it down, and then 2 weeks later they realized they can't get milk down the street because their guy that had the little corner store is no longer in business because it got burnt down. I think what we're trying to do here, you and I, is kind of bridge that gap to where we are now to where we'll be. And perhaps you can educate me on some of the misconceptions and misnomers that some white rock dude has about what you guys experience. When I say you guys, the Black community. Because I don't really know. And so if I sound ignorant or that may be a good thing, because we're here to learn. All right, we're here to learn.
Let me tell you something right now, bro. Before we even get started, I want you to understand something, okay? I look at you as an American. I'm not seeing you for your color, and you have a right to speak. And that's the thing that I'm trying to hit home to everybody, is that just because you're another shade, we're all different shades. Human. That's why we're called humans. We're a different hue of man. You know what I mean? You have the right to speak and question all the things in the same nation that you live in as me. You shouldn't be ridiculed for it, and you shouldn't, because it's honest. I could tell you're not a racist dude. You know what I mean? So you should be able to dialogue with somebody in a place of peace to gain understanding. You know what I mean? And that's what my whole thing is about. I want to create a dialogue. So when you talk with me, when you speak to me, I don't want you to look at me as a black man. I don't want you to look at me as somebody just from the hood. I want you to look at me as a fellow American, just like how I look at you, and understand this is a safe place when you're talking with me. And I will give you my best perspective that I possibly can to help you understand what goes on in the community that I come from. Because in my community and my culture, it might even vary and be different from somebody else, say from Compton. Because I'm over here, I'm in the Midwest. So somebody that's in Compton, that's from the hood, they might have a whole different perspective and a whole different narrative and a whole different conclusion in their mind as to why things are the way that they are. But where I'm at, this is mine and it's unique to me. So I would love to bridge that gap, brother, and help you understand. And if you got questions, I'm willing to answer them. I got questions too,
Yeah, right on.
We're gonna help each other learn.
Let's do it, man. So let's start off about that community that you grew up in the Midwest. I was born and bred there, born in Hammond, was raised in Griffith. I had some stints as a kid working in Gary, helping out my brother and a buddy doing construction, in awesome. Commercial buildings and stuff like that as a teenager in high school. So I'm familiar with, when I was there in the 80s and early 90s, Gary was the crime capital or the murder capital of the world per capita, so,
right.
And I used to rehearse on State Street. I know Hammond's a pretty rough place, definitely certain pockets of it. So what kind of run-in did you do back in the day? Because you've seen that lifestyle firsthand, the rough style, running with your friends. I mean, we used to TP our gym teacher's house, once a week. That was what we did. You know what I mean? So
right.
I think you got some different experiences. And I want to kind of hear about that and see how you transition into the person you are now and the person you're going to be tomorrow.
Okay, well, growing up where I grew up at, like I say, it was they called it Little Waco. I don't know if you're familiar with Hammond, but I grew up in a place called Little Waco. I loved that neighborhood to my last breath. That's where I started. That's where I was literally born and raised. I didn't make it out of that place, and literally until a couple of years ago, I was born and raised there. And it was all Latin Kings. It was mixed. We had white, black, and Mexican, more predominantly Mexican in my part of the neighborhood. Across the street, in Calumet, it was a lot more African American or Moorish American, however you want to call it. And they were like GDs and vice lords over there. So I was a Latin king, and growing up how I did, I seen drive-bys. I've seen, standing on the corner where I used to live, man, I was like maybe 5, 6 years old. I remember standing on the corner and some dudes that I looked up to, rest in peace to him now, Twan, I seen him, he busted shots in the air because somebody came threw up a gang sign. And that was normal for me. I was excited to see it. It was like amazing. And I went up to him, and rest in peace, Smiley, and Bear. I go up to them, and they're like, "Hey, Cash, man, you want to make some money?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "All right, little Cash, go through the hood and find any gun shells. Any gun shells you find, we'll give you $1 for." So my job when I was a kid was going through the neighborhood, picking up gun shells, getting $1 for them, And yeah, I lived in a whole different, it was wild back then. I remember houses being burned down right outside my bedroom window across the street, people being drug out and shot at. I remember shootouts, seeing people coming through the gangways talking about, "Yo, we got to go get him," dude. And that's how I grew up. So that was normal to me. And I couldn't wait. When I was a kid, I'm like, man, I can't wait till I'm older and I get to run around with these guys. And I get, I'm 10 years old driving around in a car with all these grown dudes, and I'm sitting in the front seat, and they got me throwing gang signs up out the window and, throwing stuff at people. And yeah, like I'm 10 years old, and you got people coming through the neighborhood that were older, like 14, and they didn't want to beat up the 14-year-olds. So like, "Little Cash, come here." And they had me whoop the dude. And they told him, "You touch him back, and you're going to get all of us." So they just introduced me to first off, a brotherhood. It was a brotherhood to me. They showed me love because I didn't have a family that showed me all of that, and they made me feel welcome. They made me feel comfortable. They made me feel safe. Like I thought that they were my protectors, And as I got older and I got into it, it just started to change in my mind because, like I said, I started reading a lot at the age of 12 and 13. I started just picking up books because of people that were influencing my life in a positive way. Like my older brother, Ray, he's not my blood brother, but he's my brother nonetheless. He tried to get me out of the hood, and he took me and showed me, because he worked with the steel mills and all of that. So he would take me and be like, "Hey, man, let's go to Great America, Cash. Why don't you come stay at my house for a couple of days, and help out over there." And he taught me how to work a little bit, gave me little jobs to help him out with, help babysit, took me out, got me away from the hood. And I wanted that, I'm seeing that. I'm like, well, I want to do, if he's working like this, he just got a new car, I want to work, I want to make money this way so I can have my family. Like he got his kids and he's a great dad. I never had that. So I wanted to do that. So the older I got, the more that I studied, the more that I read, the more I moved away from gangs and got into other things. Like I became like a kind of like a mentor, a youth pastor, if you will, at one point in time in my life. After I got out of the gangs, I was helping speaking out against gang violence, keeping kids away from the streets. And yeah, man, everything just started to, it's been a gradual change for me since I can remember. I'm always trying to be better, man. I don't want to stay in the same, I never want to be stagnant. I want to stay growing. And now it's gotten to a point where, because of that drive, I'm on a platform to where, I'm trying to get people to come together. And before, it seemed hard. I ain't gonna lie, before it just seemed hard. Some kids, you try to help them, and they like I did. People tried to help me, and whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's cool, yeah, you helping me, but I want to do this. And I was that kid at once. And then to see other kids, and I try to help them kids to get out. And, yeah, man, it's crazy, bro, how life takes you. It's just nuts.
Yeah, no, I hear it. You were talking about getting out of the gangs and sort of transitioning as a youth pastor. So Nikki Nixon came in, and we're going to put up some questions as we're doing this. So if you see something that triggers or resonates with you, feel free to comment on it. She was asking how you were able to get out safely. We all watch the movies, and of course that might be an exaggerated, whatever the word I'm looking for here, it's just exaggerated reality, and depiction was the word. Boom, for 10 points there. Anyway, she wanted to know how you safely got out, because usually once you're in, you can't get out.
Yeah, that is supposed to be the way it is. Fortunately and unfortunately, this is how it happened. Okay, when I first was 18, had my son, I got in with the union, Local 17, and I started working, so I saved my money, and I just left the hood. I left. No one knew where I was at. I went and moved into Sherville in a condo, and I tried to keep my job and stay steady. I was gone for about a year and a half, maybe, and then layoffs happened, and I didn't know anything about this. This is new to me, working and and have my own place and all these things. So I got laid off and ended up having to go back to the neighborhood and move in with my in-laws. And unfortunately, they live in a neighborhood where everybody was at. So when I came back, they were pissed because I was on SOS, what you call SOS, or shoot on sight. And they gave me an ultimatum. They said either you're going to get back with us, you're going to join, you're going to come back, or every time you see us, it's going to be war. And I got kids at this time. I got 2 kids and another one on the way. And I'm like, look, man, at the time, I'm still bold and I'm a fighter, and they know me. They know, like, I'll put hands on you just as quick as you think you're going to put hands on me. And yeah, I was about to just say, you know what, well, it's war. But then my guy, one of my best friends, man, to this day, he's a good dude. He also was part of it. And he got out now and he's straightened his life up as well. Shout out to you, Tom. But yeah, no, he told me, like, bro, just don't even do it, bro. Just, you know what I mean? Take what they're going to give you and, you know, just keep going, you know? I'm like, forget it. So I did that. I let them, they whooped me from head to toe. You know what I mean? 3.5 minutes head to toe. It's called a pumpkin head. And so that got me back in good standings. And then, man, I was there. I was in the neighborhood. I wasn't participating really in gang activity as far as like how I used to do. I was just in the neighborhood and I was not, you know, marked. You know what I'm saying? So I did that. And I stood there until I got out of there again. And when I got out of there again, they put me back on SOS again. And that was for a couple years. I was about 23 years old when I had to move back to the neighborhood again because the landlord sold the property. So we had to go. So we moved back. And so I had money to get another place. Couldn't find a place right that quick, though. So we found a place in the neighborhood and the people came up to me. A lot of the guys were gone. They were locked up or whatever. And I told them, like, look, man, I'm grown. I got kids. I don't want to, you know, I'm here. If you guys need me, I'm here. You know, you need some help with something, I'm here, but I'm too old to be out here like this. And I was in church and I was trying to help kids and I was trying to help people. So they kind of just left me alone for that point in time. And then they restarted back up the neighborhood. They started back up the chapter and then they came at me again. And this time I had to take another beat down. I took another 3.5 minute head to toe. And after that, I was just upset. And then God, I guess, intervened because at that point in time, people started getting locked up. God was just like, you know, moving people out of the way. And I just stayed how I am today. I stayed away from it. I was cool with the whole neighborhood. I was feeding the kids. Every Sunday we would have a cookout in our neighborhood, me and my kids and all the other kids. And we just were active in the community, you know, and they see me, you know, doing all these different things, trying to be positive. So they everybody else just left me alone. It was a lot of younger guys than me. So they respected me for who I was and who I was trying to be. And I was just trying to help them. They seen that. I believe that they seen that I was just trying to get them out of the way. You know, it's like, stay away from it. And then they shut the whole hood down. There was no more kings that were real kings out there. So, yeah, then when they tried to come back again, years later, I'm 25, I believe, 25, 26 years old. They hit the whole hood with an indictment and everybody was gone. Literally, they swept the whole freaking neighborhood. I'm talking about from Hammond to Chicago to East Chicago. They took everybody and they indicted them. And it was like God just intervened, man, and removed the real problems. And some of the guys, you know, I'll say hats off to them because they were trying to get out. A lot of the kids that I was mentoring and trying to get them out of it, they ended up, you know, in the same position. And they wrote me. I've talked to them, you know, because as you know, I got my own part in that. At the age of 27, almost 28, I also was indicted in the same indictment. And but they didn't charge me as they charged them. I didn't get charged with being a land king or conspiracy. My charge was completely separate. It was a conspiracy charge. And yeah, I'm still dealing with that to this day. But I still haven't stopped doing what I'm doing. I didn't let it deter me. And what made me so, you know, so comfortable with speaking about this now is, like I said, I don't bore everything. I don't put everything out there. But the people, when the police came, and I got to take my hats off, man, to Hammond Police Department, Hammond, Indiana, and to the prosecutor, man, and to the, you know, to the FBI, DEA, wherever was involved in that, right? When they came to my house, you know how you hear the stories? I've had it happen to me. When your door gets boom, it gets booted in, and then they come in, everybody get down. We got a warrant for your arrest. They didn't do that to me, man. They knocked on my door. I answered. It was 5 a.m, and I said, "What's going on?" They said, "We got a warrant for your arrest." I said, "Oh, okay. I'm thinking it's a bench warrant, so I'm gonna be out." And they're like, "No, man, it's a federal warrant." So my heart dropped. I'm like, "What are you for real?" And they said, "Cash, they know me by name." They said, "Cash, we're sorry, man. We know you've been out of this and you ain't got really nothing to do with this, dude. But unfortunately, too many people said your name for things from the past. And yeah, it broke my heart. But they came in. They didn't put me in no handcuffs or nothing. They let me hug my kids. They gave me like 10, 15 minutes just to sit with my kids and, you know, love them. And then, yeah, I went. And then like 5 days later, I find out that I'm getting out on house arrest. I was praying. And yeah, it was crazy. This is still a crazy whole thing, man. But yeah, so I'm saying it gives me hope. That's why I'm saying I got hope, and I'm trying to bridge gaps and break barriers down, because not all law enforcement are bad. Not all people are thugs. The hood isn't always a crazy place. The suburbs ain't always a good place.
Sure.
You know, it's all just misconceptions. So that's why I speak the way I do.
And that's a great transition into kind of, you know, where we're at right now is bridging that gap. You know, we've got a lot of divide in this country, especially now more than ever. And, you know, we're going to kind of talk about some of the dumb things white people say. You know, there's been radio hosts that have been fired from their jobs, Sacramento Kings announcer. We've got Ashton Kutcher that's weighing in on stuff, and he's getting a little bit of flack. And I think, you know, people want to say something, and I think initially comes from a good place, unless they come from a bad place and they're trying to hide or cover up some stuff that's been said, you know, behind closed doors. In the case of the guy from Sacramento Kings, the announcer. But, you know, sometimes it's like, you know, shut up, Whitey. You don't know what you're talking about. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of those things and kind of figure out why maybe we shouldn't weigh in on things, or how do we weigh in on things without, you know, seeming like we're trying too hard, or, you know, maybe it's insincere. You know, I think, like myself, you know, sometimes we don't know. Like, for example, let's talk about this. The last Tuesday, a week ago, yesterday, there was the Blackout Tuesday, and that was a media thing. It was put on by a lot of record companies and the entertainment industry. And I saw a lot of my friends. A lot of my friends are in the entertainment industry, and I saw them put all the black squares, and I did some research on it. And you know, I didn't participate in it for no other reason other than I didn't quite understand it. Number one, and number two, I felt like it was a little insincere putting a black box on my Instagram and, you know, doing a hashtag and just going, cool, everything's good. You know, I didn't feel like that was really like, what else are we doing? You know? So I didn't do it for lack of not supporting Black lives or not supporting what we're feeling right now. But I didn't do it. I didn't feel educated enough. And I didn't want to just jump on the bandwagon and be like that guy going, oh, you know, he put the black box up on his Instagram. He's cool. What are your thoughts on that and those kind of movements, and maybe some of the people that you saw yourself do that, and you maybe know firsthand that that's all they do? And what are your thoughts on if somebody, you know, a lot of rock stars put the black thing on their social media and then they walk away and go, you know, get a coffee?
Yeah, well, I spoke on that a little bit in my videos, man. I personally, people could do whatever they want to do, right? I'm cool with it. But like you said, they'll put that on there and then they'll just go and get their coffee. Like, that's the only contribution that they have, is blacking out their Facebook profile picture. And yo, if that's how you feel, that's okay. But don't be mad. Like, don't weigh in and talk crap about the next person for not blacking out their profile. I didn't black out my profile picture, and I'm black, you know. And I don't like to use the whole race thing or the color thing, but yeah, I'm a dark American. I'm a Black American. So for me, man, look, I'll say it like this. I don't know if you watch my the Black Lives Matter, When Do They Matter to Us? You know, when is that? But that covered literally how I stand about all of that, because it's just like that. The movement of Black Lives Matter, which, by the way, for the people that are a part of Black Lives Matter, I'm going to say it again on the air. I'm not against the people that's a part of Black Lives Matter. I'm against the organization's funding and the people that started it, you know, that push it out there to the people and come out and cause the issues that they cause, right? It should matter all the time. And it shouldn't just be Black Lives Mattering all the time. It needs to be everybody's lives mattering all the time, because in the neighborhood where I come from, you could just as easily get killed by a black person than you could a white person. And it's all a part of violence, gang violence. You know what I'm saying? In particular, it's a part of gang violence. Sure. Police officers out here don't be killing people like that, man. In my city, I couldn't tell you when a police officer killed somebody. I couldn't tell you. You know what I mean? And my police officers in my city, they're dope, straight up. they're straight guys, bro. In Chicago, I know that there's some jerks out there in Chicago firsthand. I'll tell you that. The police out there, not all of them, but a majority of them are pretty messed up. And they get out and they got an attitude and they gang bang harder than I ever did. And that's just a fact, you know? So yeah, it needs to matter all the time. Lives, period. Not black lives. All lives need to matter all the time. We need to have respect for each other all the time. We need to support each other all the time. We need to stand up against violence all the time. Stand up against corruption all the time. It don't matter about where you're from, what you are, what color. All that's just a tool to divide people, man.
Well, you know, let's talk about the All Lives Matter. A lot of people have gotten some flack for that. Let me just play a couple of news clips and a tweet. Everybody should be able to see and hear this, and then we'll talk about that, because a lot of people have not only lost their gigs. This guy lost a radio show as well as his announcing show for saying all lives matter. And so let's talk about the insensitivity to that, and why maybe that is a bad thing to do, and why maybe you don't think it is a bad thing to do. And we'll weigh in on that. Check this out.
Also breaking this afternoon, Grant Napier, the voice of the Sacramento Kings, is now out of a job. Bonneville Communications, which owns KHTK, announced the company has parted ways with Napier. He was placed on leave from Sports 1140 yesterday over a Twitter dispute with former Kings player DeMarcus Cousins about Black Lives Matter. Napier has since apologized and resigned from his position with the Kings. And the Kings just releasing this statement saying Grant Napier has resigned from the Sacramento Kings. We thank him for his contributions to the team and wish him all the best. And Grant Napier then saying, I want to thank the fans for their overwhelming love and support. I will always remain a part of Kings Nation in my heart.
And so let's talk about the actual tweet here. We've got it up here on the screen. It looks like DeMarcus Cousins had hit him up on the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's been speculated that he perhaps knows Grant Napier a little bit better than the rest of us do. I had actually never heard of him, and perhaps he kind of set him up. There is reason to believe that maybe he doesn't always have a good vibe about people that aren't white, So anyway, his reply at the bottom there in all caps says, all lives matter, every single one. So what are your thoughts about that? Because you brought that up, and that seems to be, if you're, in this case, this white announcer saying that, he, was forced to resign because it was deemed kind of insensitive. How do we navigate that? And how do we figure out why is it insensitive? And why shouldn't we say that, or should we be able to say that?
Yes, we definitely should be able to say that, because look, that's like America. We got freedom of speech, man. A man being fired from his job because he says all lives matter is like a person being fired from their job because they disagree with a political view. You know what I mean? That should never be the case. This is the way that this country is going right now, man, with our leaders, okay, with our leaders allowing this, the people that write legislation and put law in motion. Nobody's rights should be trampled on, especially when it comes. I'm very big for freedom of speech, okay? And a person saying all lives matter, and probably because he's a white dude, I'm assuming, right? So
yeah,
he says that and he's getting scrutinized, but here I am. I'm a dark guy and I'm saying all lives matter, and I'm blowing up across the country.
But isn't as a black man, you have more, more of our, and like I said, I'm going to instigate with some questions here so we all learn. And I might ask some dumb questions only because there are a lot of us that don't know. So I'm going to push the issue a little bit here. Don't you have a little bit more of a right to choose when Black Lives Matter, when all lives matter, and maybe white society doesn't? Because I think the premise of the all lives matter is, well, all lives matter all the time, yes, but Black lives haven't mattered going back hundreds of years.
True. That's not true.
So weigh in on that for me.
That's not true. I don't think that Black lives don't matter. My life matters. You know what I mean? My life matters to myself and to a lot of people that I know personally. Now, when you say all lives matter, it doesn't. The reason why I use all lives matter is because it's all inclusive. Like I said, when you say Black Lives Matter, it is. I see what they're doing. You're trying to shine a light on, on Black lives being taken by police officers is
Sure.
what it started out as. This
Okay.
is police officers that take black lives. But if you look up the statistics, more white guys have gotten taken by the police officer than black guys. So would it be okay then for white people to come out and start chanting white lives matter? Because 19 people that were white got killed by police officers?
Yeah, and a lot of people have been sharing. I haven't done my due diligence on the facts, but there have been a lot of studies, and listen, in social media, everybody finds something that fits their narrative and they start posting it up, and they don't really look at it. But I've seen facts and statistics that show black on black crime is a big percentage of black.
Where are the people for that? Where are the people? That's what I mean. Where are all the organizations that care so much about black lives? Where are they at when we taking our own lives? That's the shit. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, we're good.
That's the shit that I'm talking about, bro. That's the double standard shit. And it's like, it makes me mad because I see people being played. That's all I see. I see people being manipulated by media to race bait, to start a race war, to get people upset. Now it's beyond even a race war. Now it's a fucking job description war. So if you're a cop, I gotta hate you because you might kill me. But in the cops' mind, I know cops personally, they'd be fearful to know. Bro, if you are a cop in Chicago, if you're a cop in Gary, you're fearful. You're fearful when you go on that stop. So yeah, you got to put on that macho mentality. Like, okay, I might lose my life today. Sure. I might lose my life today, depending on who I'm pulling over and how they are, how they were going to react to me, how they're going to perceive me. And that's why I shared the video that I shared on my page about a message to the police, because that's got to stop too. The police ain't saints. I'm not saying that they saints. You got some asshole cops. All right. Sure. You need the cops to be able to, okay, when you come on a stop, you have to learn how to dialogue. If you know that you're fearful for your life, and you know the community that you're in is rough, and you know that these people out here are sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you need to have a new approach to how you come to people and give more breaks, man. Don't be so quick to write that ticket. Don't be so quick to assume that this person is a criminal. Don't be so quick to assume that things are going to go bad, because you will get back what you put out in the universe. If you're fearful that you're going to get shot, 9 times out of 10, somebody gonna pop your ass. You know what I'm saying? And that, I'm a firm believer in that. I see my life. I've been putting out good, man. Even when I've been going through it, I was going through it, bro. And I'm still praying to God, and I'm hopeful. And I'm like, I know we're going to make a way. And then here I am sitting on the radio with you. It's all about what you put out. It's all about how we dialogue with each other. When the police gets behind me, yeah, I get nervous sometimes because I'm like, okay, I don't know if I got a warrant, or I don't know, because I got a case right now. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Sure.
It's not because I'm black. I'm not scared because I'm black. I'm scared because this is a cop and I'm not. You know what I'm saying? And the white guys in my hood are the same way. If we driving together, even my girl, she's Caucasian. You know what I'm saying? And when we driving together, she's like, oh, police behind us. You know what I'm saying? And it's just how it is, man. It's the narrative that get, like when you watch Cops, you watch Cops and you see they talking in the squad. We're gonna pull this guy over. We think we got a suspect here that's got however you want to put it. So it's always a perception that we get shown that makes us feel how we feel, because we're very visual as humans. Humans are very visual. You see things, and that's what your mind's gonna go with. And it's not about how much you think in your heart or none of that. It's about we're visual. So we see more in the media of the police coming out and being peace officers, not just police officers coming out and, hey, I just wanted to let you know that you had a tail light out. I don't need your license or anything like that. Just, get that taken care of, and I hope that you get home safe. Or did you know that your license was suspended, sir? No, I didn't know that my license was suspended. Okay, well, yeah, man, I think you might want to get that cleared up. Normally, I'm not supposed to let you go, but I know how things are. I know it's rough right now. So when you can, get that taken care of, and let them go with a ticket, you know what I'm saying, or a warning, or however you want to do it, because them kind of situation is all at your discretion as a police officer. I read a lot. I study a lot about the laws. It's at your discretion if you want to tow a car. It's at your discretion if you want to arrest somebody for having no license. It's at your discretion if you want to be an asshole.
No, exactly. Exactly. And that also goes by way of the person getting pulled over. They have a little bit more control in most cases, how things are going to go based on what they're putting out there, and we've got Betty that just chimed in, says, if you give respect, you will receive it, and that's a pretty fair thing to say there. Let me ask you this. So we were kind of talking about, some of these celebrities getting some flack for coming on and saying their things. We talked about Napier. We showed his tweet where he said all lives matter, and you kind of weighed in on that. Ashton Kutcher recently put out a video, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, just kind of as a whole.
Love Ashton Kutcher.
I'm gonna put this on right now.
So on Saturday, I posted a blackout of my social media channels. Just posted BLM. And a lot of folks responded, all lives matter. And I want to talk about that a little bit, because I don't think that the people that are posting all lives matter should be canceled. I think they should be educated. We all agree all lives matter. But I had a really poignant experience tonight when I was putting my kids down to bed that lent the words for why Black Lives Matter. So usually Mila and I put our kids to bed, we read them a book, and our daughter always gets to go first. Tonight, as we were reading her book, my son says, wait, why don't I get to go first? And Mila said, because girls go first. And he said, yeah, but boys go first. And I looked at him, I said, no, girls go first. And I said, you know why girls go first? And the reason why is, for some boys, girls don't get a go at all. And so for you and me, girls go first. So when it comes to Black Lives Matter, I think what folks that are writing All Lives Matter need to understand is that for some people, Black lives don't matter at all. So for us, Black lives matter. So while you may have the best intentions in saying all lives matter, remember, for some people, Black lives don't matter at all.
So where are you at on that? You saw that. I think it's trying to come from a good place, but weigh in on that. I got my thoughts on it too.
Okay, so look, this is what I'll say. Okay, first off, love Ashton Kutcher. All right. And I understand what he's saying. And this is where I'm trying to create a healthy dialogue. I understand that. And I appreciate that coming from him. Right. But in some places, white lives don't matter. In some places, Mexican lives don't matter. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk. I'm trying to create the conversation. OK, and this is what I want to break down to you. With people like Ashton Kutcher. OK, he's a humanitarian. The dude's got a heart of gold. Right. Just like a lot more white Americans in this country. So I understand why they want to say, no, Black Lives Matter first. They've never really been to the hood. You know what I'm saying? They don't really know. So they got this perception that, we don't get a fair shake, or we get treated unfairly, or we're the only ones that get brutalized by police, because they're out of tune with the narrative of what they're pushing. Black Lives Matter. They think that for some reason in the hood, it's like slavery times or something. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like that. So his heart is what's leading him to believe that. And he's wholehearted with it. And he's sincere. And those people, I appreciate them people that are white that believe the way that they do. I appreciate them for feeling the way that they feel. But don't demonize. See, this is the thing. Don't demonize somebody that says all lives matter, because they get it a little more than you do. They understand the narrative a little more than you do. So don't be offended by them when they say all lives matter, because all they're trying to say is, look, bro, you might not really understand. I get where your heart's at. Your heart's in the right place. And that's cool. If you want to make Black Lives Matter more to you, then that's cool. You want to put Black people first in your life, then that's cool. That's all good and well. But don't be mad at somebody else who says, no, we were all created equally, and this is America, and everybody's life matters, because I know that everybody gets the same shake. Everybody gets the same shake. We might have to work a little harder. I'm going to be real. And the way that the society is set up, yeah, we do get I will say that we get a bad rap, especially when you come from the hood. You get looked at differently when you come from the hood and you're going for a job, say, that requires you to wear a suit and a tie, even though you're qualified and you went to college, but you got the hip hop culture vibe going on. You do get looked at differently as being a Black man. But that's not to say that once they hear you that they don't understand you or grasp who you are. Like me, look at me, bro. I don't look like no white collar dude, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't speak like one, but yet I'm being put on a platform because of the things that I'm saying. And it's people understanding. I made a video on white privilege. All right. I made a video on white privilege and Black privilege. So when you say about the people, like he says, Black people, you know, for some people, Black lives don't matter at all. That's very real. But in some communities, white lives don't matter at all. You be a white person going through the wrong hood and you finna catch it.
Right.
Straight up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's equal. This is America, bro. This is America. And they using these tools, man, to try to divide. To all you people out there, man, that's listening right now, and you are for all lives matter, or you're for Black lives matter, just let your heart be in the right place. That's all I'm saying. You know, and get your point across and get it to a way that you can articulate it to where people can understand it. Don't get angry. Understand both sides. When somebody said, you know, he just got his point across very well. And that was a great analogy that he used to his son and his daughter. That was dope. That made me almost want to cry, shed a little tear. But the reality of it is, man, all lives do matter. And what he just said is true and not true. It's just depends on how you want to look at it. In some areas, yeah, that's true. Black lives don't matter at all. But you got to look at the other spectrum. You have to. You have to be open to learn, man. You have to be open to receive people and what they're saying and where they're coming from, to create the dialogue to bridge that gap, bro. You got to break it. You got to break down that barrier of race that has to be destroyed, because then you got people, look at, these are celebrities arguing about whose life matters and why they stand with either side. We are American. We're Americans.
Yeah, I'm into that. For those that are tuned in, I'm Troy Patrick Farrell, and we're simulcast over not only my Facebook Live, but we're also on your Facebook Live, and that's Street Lights Unity Movement. And if you haven't gone over there and liked that page, then go and do that. We're also broadcasting over dirtyradio.fm on the Dirty Radio Classics channel on This, That, and the Other radio show. We were talking about, we're kind of just getting into these black-white issues, and how things are very, very divided. And, I think for the most part, a lot of the country want to be unified, but there are amplified and magnified pockets of bad stuff. And that's the stuff that, unfortunately, and I do believe the media shows us a lot more of that stuff than the good stuff. We see the bad and the ugly. We don't see a lot of good. And then when you came across my radar, I go, oh, this is somebody good. Let's kind of get into this. And also, you don't have necessarily I don't want to say it's not a popular opinion. I want to say it's a very different perspective than what we're seeing out there. That doesn't mean it's not there. I think maybe just the light's not shining on it. So I appreciate you letting us kind of open this up and let me ask some dumb questions so we can get some answers and kind of feel. Go ahead.
Hey, I just want to say something too, real quick, to add on what you just said. You're right. It's not what I'm saying and what I'm believing. Believe me, bro. I've searched through my inbox, and right here I'm looking in the comments. Everyone, there's a big majority of people who feel the way that I feel, but they can't say it, whether they be black or white. Because if a white person says this, then they're labeled as a racist. If a black person says this, then they don't love their own people. So you know what I'm saying? So thank God. I thank God that I'm biracial. I thank God that I come from two cultures and I've been everywhere that I've been, because I relate to both, man. I've been on both sides. I am both sides. You know what I'm saying?
You're on both sides of the fence, man. That's a good spot to be in, because I think you'll help the people over there and the people over there to kind of bring it together, and maybe we can tear that fence down and have a barbecue or something. Let's talk about the national anthem and my sort of initial misconceptions, and I think I might have changed my opinion a little bit since. So Colin Kaepernick, who's not been in the NFL and
give that man his job back.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I got to say, initially a lot of us feel that when somebody is kneeling for the national anthem, his movement was the BLM movement, and a lot of other people of all races, by the way, but a lot of other people felt it was a disrespect to the flag. And then, of course, Drew Brees has weighed in on that. I've got a little video snippet of him apologizing. He since has retracted, I think, because maybe he had some phone calls and got educated. Let me play this, and then let's get into Kaepernick and Drew Brees.
I know there's not much that I can say that would make things any better right now, but I just want you to see in my eyes how sorry I am for the comments that I made yesterday. I know that it hurt many people, especially friends, teammates, former teammates, loved ones, people that I care and respect deeply. That was never my intention. I wish I would have laid out what was on my heart in regards to the George Floyd murder, Ahmaud Arbery, the years and years of social injustice, police brutality, and the need for so much reform and change in regards to legislation and so many other things to bring equality to our Black communities. I am sorry, and I will do better, and I will be part of the solution, and I am your ally. And I know no words will do that justice. That's going to have to be.
You know, there he is coming in and apologizing. He really took a lot of flack. He's apologized numerous times. What are your thoughts on it's kind of a two-part question, and then of course I'll give you the floor. Is the Colin Kaepernick kneeling? Is it, as we believe, a disrespect to the national anthem and the flag? And why is it okay to do that? To protest for the BLM movement in that forum? Why do you think that that's okay or not okay? And then your thoughts on Drew Brees saying what he said. You know, he did say in All Lives Matter, and he got caught up in that as well. And he's, you know, kind of since retracted. Maybe he feels like he's been more educated by his peers, and he, you know, did that apology. What are your thoughts on all that? And you know, because like I said, a lot of people are thinking they're doing the right thing, and then they're really getting a lot of flack, losing their jobs, and, you know, being told they should be fired, and you know, they should retire from football. Give me your thoughts on all this.
Okay. Well, as far as Colin Kaepernick goes, love that brother, and I support him 100% wholeheartedly for the simple fact of he used his American right, and he knelt. That's all he did. He kneeled for what he believed in. Okay, he kneeled for what he believed in, not to disrespect America, but to shed light on some issues. Okay, he did not disrespect anybody. He didn't call nobody any names. He didn't riot. He didn't burn buildings. I bet you all of America right now is probably thinking, you know, I wish that they would take a knee to the flag and the national anthem instead of burning down the city, burning down the country. And I support Colin Kaepernick, and I do not think that it was un-American or disrespectful to America for him to protest in the manner that he did. I love him, and I think he needs his job back, especially after one of the chairmen got down on his knees and apologized and say now he's standing with Black Lives Matter and all the stuff that he was saying. So if that's the case, then you need to pay that man his money, and you need to give him his job back, because that's some bullshit. You know,
let me ask you that. Let me ask you if you don't mind the interruption. But so the NFL, as seemingly a privatized, you know, organization, do you think that you know, obviously what's right is one thing and what's wrong is one thing, and moral, you know, and then the other part of it is, well, you know, this is a privatized thing, and you know, in this organization, this is what we do for the national anthem, and it's disrespectful to the soldiers and the first responders that are out there, perhaps on that field, you know, the people from you know, the veterans that they often have there. What are your thoughts on that? Because, you know, like I said, I think a big part of America you know, still feels that they're attaching it to a disrespect factor. And I don't think that we talk about bridging gaps, that a lot of us have been able to bridge that gap between saying this isn't about the flag, it isn't about our military, it's about the Black Lives Matter movement. But you know, and the other thing that's a little curious to me is that, you know, you talk about you know, how all lives matter. So is it in poor taste for him to do this and do that protest when in fact all lives do matter? I'm just, you know, like I said, we're just trying to kind of piece this together.
Well, it wasn't. He was a part of the organization. Now, I want to break this down for you. Okay, he stands with Black Lives Matter. Okay, the name Black Lives Matter, the movement. But okay, what he was taking the knee for was beyond just the movement. It was geared towards making America see that in his mind, Black lives don't matter. So taking a knee for him was more of a police brutality thing, the criminal justice system, shedding light on the incarceration rate of Black people, wrongfully and rightfully convicted, however you want to look at it. But it was his right as an American. See, I'm an American. I love America, bro. I'm an American. And as long as you're not infringing on my rights, or you're not taking my life, or you're not stealing my property, then I don't care what you do. You could believe whatever you want to believe. You could pray to who you want to pray to. You can love who you want to love. That ain't got nothing to do with me as an American. Only thing that as an American, if you want to protest, you have your right to protest peacefully, however you desire, whether that be laying down during the national anthem, standing for the national anthem, turning your back, however you want to view it. Even though personally myself, I wouldn't take a knee during the national anthem because of the veterans in my family. And to me, that's, you know, I give that as a tribute to them. when I think about the national anthem and I stand with my hat off and I got my hand over my heart, you know, that's just me though. And that's the kind of American I am. We have a bunch of different types of Americans. And the thing that we got to get away from is being different type of Americans. We have to come together and understand you have the right to protest. Like, do you think that it was un-American for all the people in what state was it, Wisconsin or Michigan? All the NRA guys that came on the city hall building, whatever, with all their guns out, and was that un-American? No, not at all. That was them exercising their right. And that's the thing. We had the media puts the double standards in there, man, and we got to get away from it. As Americans, we have to get away from, we got to get some common ground here. We got to learn how to stand together, even when we're standing apart. Just because we got different views and different ways that we protest doesn't mean that we don't love our country. You know what I mean? We got to come together.
I mean, you know, and I get that that is his platform. You know, he can go on social media or talk to his buddies or whatever, but, you know, he is, you know, really on the biggest platform there, and he wants to spread his message. So, you know, on one hand, I do get why he would spread it there, because that's where you spread your message. That's a very big, you know, you got 70,000 people in a stadium and you're on TV. You know, so, and I'm kind of just watching the comments here, and there's you know, this one, it seems like people are a little divided. You know, some people don't feel that that's still the right form. It's a great movement, but that's not the form. Other people feel that, you know, like, for example, somebody says, well, I can't protest at work, you know. You know, so
that's true. That is a very valid point. And people I see, that's even me. You got to take that into account too. He's at his job. So you're definitely right. If they wanted to fire Colin Kaepernick for, you know, not doing what he needed to do at his job, then that's like anybody else. If I would have went to my job and said, I'm protesting right here for a cause that I believe in my job, then as an American that owns business, you have the right to fire me. And that's the truth. You know what I mean? That's just, I'm for it. It's all American. All I'm saying is he shouldn't get backlash for the way that he protested. Maybe at the place where he protested, maybe, but he used the platform that he had. And that was his way. You know, he sacrificed his job. I say give him his job back because, you know, I got the chairman, you know, that guy on his knees talking about, you know, oh, Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. So get it, brother, his job back. He was dope too. He was a good football player, you know? And yeah, but I agree. Maybe he should have been fired because that was his job. That wasn't his personal place to protest. That was somebody else's place where he was getting paid to be. So that's a very valid point. And this is what I'm saying. You give it up. Just see what just happened right now? Enlightenment, because we're willing to dialogue without arguing, without hating each other. Exactly.
I think, you know, before this conversation, I had a different view about it. You know, I wasn't a big fan of his, you know, and I certainly didn't draft him for my fantasy league because he was always on the bench, but that's another story. But, you know, I didn't feel like it was the time and the place, you know, I really didn't. But now I sort of get that, you know, that he was sort of putting it all out there. And this is, you know, maybe he felt that he had one chance to get this message out. And for better or for worse, he's gotten the message out, but yet we still kind of seem to land, you know, swirling the drain here, you know, with what happened in Minnesota, and now with the reaction to what's happening. You know, you were mentioning some other people, you know, getting down on their knees, and we're hearing some different perspectives from veterans saying that actually a kneel to the flag is actually the utmost of respect. You know, so, you know, kneeling to a king in ancient times, you know, it's all very different. Everybody's got their own perspective. I still stand and put my hand on my heart, take my hat off. That's what I do. But then again, I'm not coming from the standpoint where he's coming from. So whether I agree with it or not, that's one thing, but I certainly, you know, don't hate him for doing it. You know what I mean? Right. There's been this movement of this, you know, sorry to slavery. Some white folks from the UK. We've seen those photos. A lot of them are kind of from some years ago. Here's a little snippet of this. We can talk over a little bit of this as we're showing.
And so I, as a person from the United Kingdom of Great Britain, and the other people who are with me, we are all deeply sorry for what we have done against your beautiful and wonderful nation. So we believe that we are called to repair the damage of history.
All right. So what do you think about these people that are doing this? I believe that video is from 2013. I don't know what the movement was there. I think it was in Haiti, but we've seen those photographs of the guys in the, you know, sort of in the wood stick things, and they're chained together and they're wearing these shirts, "I'm sorry," and they're getting down on one knee and apologizing for, you know, history and how black people have been treated throughout history. Any thoughts on that?
Yo,
sorry, man. I just, you know, I'm on social media too much.
I get that up to free will and white guilt. I would say what you just saw right there came from a place of white guilt, and that's like deep in our country right now. A lot of people in our country got white guilt
terminology. Yeah,
and I mean, hey, if that's what they felt like they wanted to do to show that they apologized, then hey, whatever, you know, do your thing. To me, if you wanted to apologize and you were truly sorry about whatever it is that they were saying, sorry, what were they sorry about? For slavery, for having twigs on their neck? What was it?
Yeah, it was going back to it was an event in Haiti is what it was, and it goes back to 2013. So although these photos are being shared now as if this is happening now, it's not. However, the apology and the sentiment is the same, and it had something to do with some slavery in Haitian times back in the day. But there was some other video. The audio was bad, so I didn't pull it. But there was actually some recent video of 20 to 30 white folks chained up on their knees.
You're cutting up.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, so there is still some recent episodes of this going on where, you know, the white what would you say, white regret or white, what was the term you used?
White guilt.
Yeah, white guilt. That is still happening now, although that video is from some years ago. I've seen recent video of that happening now.
You are like snipping. You're clear, like your picture and everything is clear, but your voice is like tangled. It's like jargled a little bit. But I get what you're trying to say.
Sure.
And yeah, let them do what they want to do. I would say if you really wanted to be sorry, then throw them some money. Like help them get a job, help them build a business. Even not even get a job, help them build a business. If you feel like you got privilege because of slavery from however long ago, and your family's wealthy because of that, and you wanted to do something to say you're sorry for the way that your family, I hope they're not saying sorry for them, because this was hundreds of years ago. I would say apologize for your ancestors' actions. If you wanted to do that, then help somebody build a business, help them be better people, get on their feet. I don't know. I couldn't tell. I come from both sides. So what? I'm gonna talk crap to my one side of the family from my other side of the family. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. It's a little bit of a weird, trippy thing that I was seeing. Here's something interesting, and this is again an old video, but this is Morgan Freeman, and in fact, you had shared a photo of him. Let me actually find that photo real quick while we're talking. But Morgan Freeman has had some very interesting things to say over the years, and hopefully, I have it in here so we can take a look at it. I'm going to find that in just a second. But here's a video of him on TV. Some years ago, talking about the black movement. There's Black History Month. There's all these other things here. Take a look, and I want you to weigh in on that, because again, this is another thing that that maybe other people don't know how to navigate.
Black History Month, you find
ridiculous.
Why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? Well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay. Which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh. Why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman.
All right. So, thoughts on that? I mean, I get some chills kind of seeing that. you know, and I was thinking about as we come out of the womb, you know, we as little pods, you know, we don't know anything. We don't know color. We don't know. I mean, we don't know anything. But you know, when we start going to school and start, you know, we notice people that are different. You know, people look at me and go, "Oh, that guy, you know, has long hair, and looks like Jennifer Aniston." You know, they see you. You have darker skin. The you know, Hispanic people have, you know, Asian people have a different eye. And I was talking earlier before we went on the air here that you know, if you went to your grocery store and you went to the candy aisle and it was just 80 feet and 20 shelves of Twizzlers, wouldn't you be bummed out? I mean, isn't variety the spice of life? You know, are you having a hard time hearing me?
Yeah, you're like jargled. I don't know if it's just on my end or if everybody else can hear you like perfectly, but you're like buzzing in and out. Like I can hear every other word that you're saying.
Gotcha. Maybe I'll speak in every other word. I was just kind of talking, and I hope you can hear me. If not, I can leave a comment with you. You know, I'll send you a private chat though. Is you know, thoughts on the you know, that what I just showed you on Morgan Freeman.
I loved it.
And the
I
video.
love what he said because personally, that's how I feel. I stated that in a couple of my videos. You know, the reason why, like he said about the Black History Month, let's use that. Okay, Black History Month. I hated having to read about slavery when I was in school. When I was in school, it was like I felt like other kids was looking at me like, you know, this is what you come from. You know what I mean? And then it teaches you, it puts a narrative in your head. Don't ever become a Black leader, because if you become a Black leader, they're going to kill you. You know? And it's all visual. They put these visuals in your head and you run with them. And you think that this is the way that things are, when what is true today can be a lie tomorrow. Truth changes with time. Racism is still a thing. You know, there's still racist people, but the level of racism that it was back then in the country, it's not that no more. So why do I got to be a Black man? Why do you have to be a white man? We're all American. We got the greatest nation, you know. Well, some would say, I believe that we got the greatest nation in the world. Yeah. That's my belief, you know, because of the diversity that we have and because of the strides that we've made from 400 years ago till today, just from 50 years ago till today. You know what I mean? We've done a lot. We are the most rapid growing nation to ever be a superpower. We are like an anomaly. You know, this country is special. We got a special thing. Look at me. I'm a product of something that shouldn't have been. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here talking to everybody, getting love, man. So racism, yeah, it's got to stop. It's got to even quit being discussed, because until people are coming from a place of love, bro, and unity, we can't discuss it. It can't be a discussion because people don't know how to register everything that someone else feels. You know, and some people don't know how to speak in a manner where they don't want you to feel upset. Some people speak from anger. So until people can learn how to speak to each other as people, not even just Americans, man, it's just fucking humans.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
It's just got to be forgotten. Forget about it. Forget about racism. Don't forget the atrocities and shit that happened, so we don't got to go through them again. But man, forget it. Don't think that shit is today, because it's not. I'll go drink from whatever water fountain I want to right now. You know what I'm saying? I could whistle at whatever woman I want to right now.
Your girl's right there, man.
Well, you know what I mean. I whistle at her all the time. Like, hey, baby. You know?
There you go. Well, you know, how do we get out of that rut of you know, the anger and I think a lot of it has to do with education. And I think for me, a lot of it is just feeling safe to talk and go, hey, man, I have this feeling. I don't necessarily know why I have this feeling. Maybe I was raised with this feeling, or my friends say it, so you kind of just go along with your friends, you know. And then, you know, but I want to break the cycle. I want to kind of see it through your eyes a little bit, so I can understand you a little bit more. Right now, we're so divided, and we got the walls up between us. How do we, outside of doing stuff like this, and you talking real and kind of giving us a different perspective, how do we break down those barriers where people will sit down and just listen? They don't have to agree at the end of the conversation, but for the fact that they listened, we're 2 steps ahead of where we were today, you know?
Okay. Well, I would say make someone feel safe to. That's it. A soft response turns away wrath. Remember that when you talk to anyone, a soft response turns away wrath. So someone's talking to you about something uncomfortable, right? Maybe it offends you. Maybe they meant to offend you and they want to get a reaction. You can choose to keep having that conversation. And if you choose to keep having that conversation, then give them a soft response and tell them, like the lady I was at the protest on the video. She said some shit I did not agree with. I totally disagreed with what she said. Sure. But the way that I responded to it was, oh, really? That's your opinion? Like, that's how you really feel? And I'm like, oh, so you mean like all police or all military? She's like, yeah. And she's going on. I said, well, that's interesting. That's an interesting perspective, you know? And I appreciate you for talking with me. And it got to be that. So then that way, so when you're having to talk about black and white, right? And a white person is talking to a black person, or how, you know, lighter American, darker American, let's say that, because I want to get away from using those terms. But right, yeah, unfortunately, we still have to identify. But when they're having a conversation and this person tells you, well, all the black people are, why do black people get locked up more than white people? And why do you guys kill each other more than? So first off, you listen and you're like, you know, that's a good question, you know, and even if you don't feel like, you know, maybe you want to choke them, but if you want to have the conversation, you know, exactly. That's exactly right. If you want to have the conversation, then you got to be willing to hear the hard things. And you say, yo, well, I ain't never killed nobody. I don't know why other people kill other people, but I've never killed nobody. And I don't know why some people want to be criminals, but I'm not a criminal. And so you can't say all black people, you know, and just break it down like that and just start it like that. You're like, yo, man, I got love for you. You know what I mean? I ain't got no problem with you. I don't think that you want to hang me. I don't think that you want to kill me. I don't think that you want to call the police because I'm barbecuing. You know what I mean? And just break the barriers down.
I'm coming over if you're barbecuing, man. Right?
Hey, I heard that. But yeah, dude, it's simple. It is so simple, but everybody's so edgy in America these days, man. It's hard. It's really hard for some people. It's the only thing we got to do is be able to create the dialogue, man, and not make each other feel bad for how we feel, and gain the understanding from one another of what's the we got to attack. Like I say, you got to attack the issues, not each other. I use that in my relationship with my woman. If there's a problem between me and her, and man, we've had our fair share. You know what I mean? Told her, you know, we got to attack the issue. We can't get mad at each other for whatever it is that we're fighting about or we got a disagreement about. We got to attack that issue.
Sure.
We can't attack each other or we're going to end up angry. We won't be talking. And then I'll be going on a rant, you know, or you'll be going on a rant. And then we'll be dumb because at the end of the day, we're going to look at each other and be like, you know what, man, I'm sorry. I love you. Come here. You know the end result. The end result in America, we all have to be here.
Yeah.
We all have to drive our cars to Walmart or Target or wherever. We all have to see each other. So why not just cut out the BS? Attack the issues. When you talk about the issues. Don't talk about each other, you know? And if you're going to say something that you think is offensive, then that's what you say. Like, hey, I don't mean to be offensive, but I don't know how other way to term this.
Sure.
I don't mean to say all black people, but why is it that a majority of African Americans, you know, and you set it up to where it's receptive in a way of, okay, I know you're not coming at me with malice. You know, I know you're not attacking me. Okay, well, let's talk about it. Simple.
You know, you brought up, you know, we've used the word or the term Black Lives Matter and black, and you just mentioned African Americans. What is you know, what is the right term? Because back in the day, growing up as a kid, you know, there were blacks and whites and Hispanics, you know, and you know, then the African American term seemed to kind of become more prevalent, and now we have the Black Lives Matter. It's not African Lives Matter or African American Lives Matter. Can you kind of decipher that for me, because that is something that I think a lot of us might be a little confused on.
All right, well, okay, when you're talking about a person of another ethnicity, first off, I use the word black when I say black man because that's what America knows. But personally, myself, I am of Native descent, I am of Irish descent, and I am of Moorish descent. I'm not black. I am not African. I'm not any of the, I'm an American. I'm a Moorish American by ethnicity, an Irish American by ethnicity. So I would say to educate yourself and learn the terms, learn where people are from, because Africa's a continent. You don't go to a white guy and be like, "Oh, you're a European American." You don't go up to somebody from Scotland and that lives in America. Say, "Hey, you're a Scotland American or a Scottish American." It's stop that. Just how you do. Like, we're all American, dude. That's it. There's no other way. And when you're talking to somebody about the race thing, you say, "Hey, man, I love you, and we both Americans, right? But hey, how come these Americans over here and in this community talk about their community, their demographic, where they're from, their geographical location?
Sure.
Don't include it as a people thing. Say, hey, man, how come the Americans in Chicago and the poorer community, how come they're killing each other?" Okay, that right there, you set it up, and you said a key word, in the poorer community. Okay, so what's different in the poorer community that they kill each other at a higher rate than over here in the suburban community in Chicago? You get what I'm saying? It's not hard.
I feel you. There's a great question from Lisa Long Reyes. How do we address someone then, or when we're talking about a topic, how do we say something? And perhaps you've kind of covered it there. Without being insensitive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just like that. People can't look. Why do people in red shirts kill each other? You know what I'm saying? It's you can't escape some things, Why do all white people do, whatever? Some things you just can't be sensitive about it. I don't think that when I don't think when people talk to me, they say, because I get a lot of questions right now. They're
Sure.
like, "Hey, man, what do you feel about in the black community?" First off, it's not a black community, but I don't get aggressive and tell them, "Hey, it's not a black community. It's an American community. It just happens to be a lot more black people." I don't do that because I get what they're trying to say. Use common sense. Someone's not trying to be offensive. People have real questions. They want real answers because they maybe really want to help. America got to stop being so sensitive. The media wants to race bait, so they make that conflict and think it's bad to talk about color. It's not bad to talk about color. I just think that it's bad when you identify a group of people because of their color.
Sure, you put them in a box. Yeah, and that was kind of leading into. You're great with transitions, brother. I was going to lead into kind of talking about the media and how much control you might feel they have, because here you're kind of blossoming out now with this different kind of enlightening perspective that we're not really seeing if we're watching the news so much. We're seeing all the bad, and the ugly. And then also another question, and I don't know how much you want to, this isn't a political thing. I don't do politics. I do rock and roll and talk about real shit. We peel the onion and we just get real, and we hope we can resolve or point our ship into the right direction. But how much do you feel that maybe the leadership or lack thereof, whichever side you are on, is affecting where we're going? So we've got the media, showing their narrative, which, they're looking to sell ad space, and then also our leadership. And what are your thoughts on that? And can things be improved, or are we in the right direction? Are we where we need to be? And if we're not, what do we do to get to where we should be as a society and as humans?
Okay, so your question, say it slow one time, just very slow, because you chopped up a couple of times in there. You say.
Sure. Let's talk about the media. Thoughts on the media and their narrative, and is
our leaders.
Yeah, obviously it's there because we're seeing it, but it seems to be the only thing that we're seeing. How much of an impact do you feel the media has?
Okay, first off, the media has a huge, huge impact on the way that things are perceived in our nation, and they know that. So our leaders, when they get on, like here, use old Nancy Pelosi. She got down on her knees. Like, I don't follow politics like that. I'm starting to get into it so I can be in front of what I talk about. But she is wearing an African shawl, and her constituents, they got down on their knees.
Yeah.
And took a stand for, I think, what was it, Black Lives Matter, or I don't know exactly. But I seen that, and I'm like, okay. That's just like, it's the exact same thing as people blacking out their profile picture.
Okay. Symbolic, but
exact same thing. She isn't going to do anything else. To her, that was a political stunt. For people that may be of different colors that are in the media or watching the different media, for her to be like, okay, well, she cares. They care about us. You know what I mean? And it made me kind of sick to see. I ain't even gonna lie, because these are the same people that they don't care what happens to people like you and me. You know what I mean? Yeah. They don't care what goes on with people like you and me. Our leaders, some leaders are doing a fantastic job, and they're not even really high up in office, like my mayor, the mayor from Hammond, Indiana, Thomas McDermott. He's a great mayor. He does a lot. You know, that dude does a lot in the community to make the community a better place. When the riots and stuff was happening, he did everything right. He did everything right, and he made it just like we're all people here. He made it like a city thing, like we're going to keep our city safe. Didn't make anybody in our city feel unwelcome or unloved or different, you know, and that's the way to do it. These people, let them put Black Lives Matter down the street and name streets after Black Lives Matter. Like,
yeah.
Why? Because they're tearing up, because people were tearing up the entire world. Is that why? Is that what did it? Because before, y'all didn't give a damn. Nobody cared in politics. Nobody wanted to do nothing. But now all of a sudden you're bowing down. Why is that? Well, you got a whole lot of stuff going on in the world right now with our politicians. You have a whole lot of change happening right now in our politicians. You have a whole lot of angry people within our country. So how can you make these people not want to eat your neck? Just put on an African shawl and get down on your knees on the television. That might deter them just a little bit, make them not want to kill me, you know? That's my standpoint on it. What I think about our leaders, though, personally, I think they need to stand up and tell everybody to chill the hell out, or we gonna start. Y'all want to defund the police? Okay, I say the police just do protest. Let's see how that turns out. Let's see how, if the police weren't around, how that would turn out for a lot of communities. I'll tell you right now, my community would definitely pay the price, because there's some areas in my community that where we really do need the police. You know, they're not standing for that. Why ain't the politicians standing up for the good police officers? Not the shitty ones, not the assholes, the good ones. Why are they letting everything? It's all an agenda. All of this is an agenda, bro. All of it. Everything that they're doing, everything that they put out on the news networks, it is all an agenda to divide, to get votes, to create fear, to create panic, to get people to look at everything else other than what's really happening. What bills just went through? What legislation was just passed? Does anybody know?
Yeah, you know, we got a lot of intelligent people watching your page and my page here on This, That, and the Other radio show and Facebook Live here. A lot of people are, you know, putting in a lot of great stuff, and I'm you know, just picking some of the great comments there. Well, you know, what legislation got, you know, snuck through? You know, what are you leading at there?
I can't hear you, brother. You're breaking up.
Oh, I don't know why we're having such a terrible connection. I hope everybody else is hearing. You know, there has been a lot of talk here about Clinton and, you know, some of that getting slipped under the radar. What are you referring to?
You said a lot of stuff got slid through. And what was I referring to?
Correct. Yeah.
I don't know.
Regarding legislation.
I'm still looking. I'm wondering. I'm asking the question. Does anybody know? Because every time something like this happens, you know, I was talking to a police officer in Walmart the other day. I said this on my video too. And he was telling me about laws and bills, right? They what is it, babe? They amend, retract, and reform. Yes. And what that is, he broke it down to me, is they'll take a bill that passed through or some legislation that passed through, and they will switch one key word that changed up the entire definition of the bill or of the law.
Yeah.
And it always seems to happen in times like these. So where a law was passed that say, you know, you can't have slaves, and then they changed the letter and says you can't have slaves unless, something like that. You know what I mean? Like prison, something like that. But that's what I'm getting at. You don't know what the hell they're putting through. You don't know if it's going to be no more, you have to, the police can't stop you and identify you. Maybe now the police can stop you and just beat your ass. You know, you don't know. Maybe you don't get to vote no more. Maybe voting is gone. Maybe anything can happen when we're not paying attention, when we're fighting with each other about fucking color and a movement and football and what a flat earth, you know, whatever the fuck it is. Who knows the shit that people argue about? They're not looking at the real shit that's going on, the things that's going to change your and my life forever. And then everybody's going to be screaming all of our lives should matter, because if some things go wrong and everybody's in a shitstorm, it's not going to matter what color you are.
Right.
Because the people all the way at the top, them people that got all the money, the people that are rich, way up there that don't even hear people like you and me, they ain't going to trip when everything, they look at you and me as the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We're no different in the eyes of them. And that's what the people don't understand. You got poor, this is funny. This is hilarious, right? The people in politics, okay? You have poor people arguing with other poor people about what rich people are going to run the shit.
That makes sense. Yeah, man. It's I feel like we're getting snookered out here, and I think we're more united than we are divided. But I think we just need to see it. We got to put the spotlight on that fact and sort of kind of rub off some of the outer layers and get down to the nitty gritty. And that's what you're doing. That's what we're doing here. But mostly you on your YouTube and your Facebook page. And I got to tell you, man, I'm looking, we're looking at almost 1,000 people, the entire almost 90 minutes we've been speaking, and people are listening, they're chiming in, they're agreeing. So I feel like there's more of us than we know. And so we got to just keep reaching one at a time, keep educating, and just kind of going, hey, we're actually all sort of in the same boat here,
Exactly.
And, we're all headed the same direction. And it's talks like these and things like these and these dialogues that I think will kind of steer the ship in the right direction, and we can get past this and move on to all the good things we're supposed to be doing in our lives with our loved ones and each other, our friends, our family. Any parting words or anything that we missed that you'd like to address? Obviously, we want to know where we can find you in case people are tuned in on my page and they're just hearing about you.
Okay, well, my only parting thing is, look, guys, I love y'all. Every one of you guys. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're black, white, brown, red. Don't matter. I don't care if you're for Black Lives Matter or you're totally against it. I don't care if you're any kind of racist. I don't care if whatever you are. I believe that everybody is redeeming. Everybody is forgivable. So whatever your belief is, whatever you stand for, all I ask is that any division that you might have in you, separating you from looking at me as your brother or another person as your brother or your sister, lay it down. Lay it down, and we need to come together, because these times that we're in right now, they're crazy, man. It's crazy. This whole year has been insane. Insane. The unthinkable has been happening in our world.
Every month.
And all of us being divided is not going to help it. Okay? Everything that's being divided. I'm not about to plug anything right now except peace. Okay? We need unity. We all have to come together. That's it. The only thing I want to plug in your mind right now is we need to come together. We need to unite, and we need to have peace among one another, wherever you're from, whatever you are. I love you guys, and I really do appreciate you for tuning in. And I hope you follow this guy, man. He's a good dude. He reached out and gave me a platform to speak to you guys. So thank you for helping me grow, for helping this message get out, because this is for all of us, man.
Yeah.
Right?
And
I
love you, man. I appreciate you coming on here and letting me just sort of kind of throw some questions at you so we can figure this out. And I feel that maybe we felt more divided than we really are. I kind of feel like we are all feeling the same thing. I'm looking at the comments, and a lot of people are moved by this. A lot of people are in sync with this. So, when you look at the guy across the way thinking he's thinking something about you, he's probably thinking the same thing you're thinking. We're all more on the same side than not. And man, I appreciate you coming on here. And this show is going to stay archived on the Streetlights Unity Movement Facebook page, as well as my page here. But keep watching your videos, keep doing your videos, keep watching the Kash Lee Kelly videos, because you're going to keep enlightening us. And I appreciate you letting me ask some tough questions and kind of navigate the waters, man. Right on, man. Hey, listen, brother. You take care. You come on here anytime, and I appreciate you, man. And for those that tuned in for the first time to This, That, and the Other radio show on dirtyradio.fm, on Dirty Radio Classics, and tuning into the Facebook page, that was Kash Lee Kelly, and he is from the again on Facebook, the Street Lights, all one word, Unity Movement, and make sure you check that out. Appreciate you guys coming on here and listening and commenting and being a part of something good. All right. It's kind of nice to feel like we're doing something good here. I'm going to continue on the radio at dirtyradio.fm, play some rock and roll, play some stuff, talk about whatever. And anyway, just imagine, keep imagining.